Hello, and thanks for joining me. Today's video is a little bit different. It's actually one that I recorded about a year ago. So things have changed since the time that I recorded it. When I did record it, Xbox storage was pretty pricey with no signs of changing, and you could probably save in the neighborhood of around $100 US by following the methods that I lay out here today. That said, the prices on the drives have come down quite a bit, and it's made this less of a no-brainer to try and do something like this. But probably the biggest factor between the time I kind of finished all of this and then I was caught up, I had to move and stuff, so I never actually got to post it. By the time I was actually in my new house and I was looking at things, it was getting a lot more difficult to find the drives as well that you need to make this work. So keep that in mind. I did find some a couple months ago. I haven't been able to find any most recently, but I think if you keep your eyes peeled on eBay, there's a good chance you'll run across one. And like I say, if you get a reasonable price on it, there is still a possibility of saving some money. Roughly when I look at the prices I saw last, probably around 50 bucks, give or take. It's a bit of a hassle, a little bit of work to do, but it's really pretty easy overall. And if you get the right drive, you can save yourself a few bucks. You do end up with a little bit less storage overall. I go over that in the video though. So with that little disclaimer up front, here's the video. Have a good one. I hope you enjoy it. Are you like me? That new game drops on Game Pass and you're all excited to play it, so you head over to your TV, start up your Xbox Series console, only to find that once again you're out of drive space on your internal NVMe. And of course, because the game's optimized for Series S or X, and I mean, that's a good thing, it needs to be on the fast storage. You're almost at a point where this frustration, it's been going on far too long, and you're sick of either having to delete games or move them off to your slower USB expansion storage, only to have to move them back if you actually want to play them. So you're almost at the point now where you're ready to give in and buy one of those incredibly overpriced Seagate expansion cards. Before you do that, you might want to watch this video. I may have an option for you that can save you a few bucks and provide some much needed storage relief for your Xbox Series console. I'm Mental9R, and this is Caffeine Entertainment. So, first and foremost, there's a few things you're going to need. This little device here, actually, now that I think about it, I do have an NVMe in here already. This one in particular, it's a 1 terabyte. But this is an adapter you're going to have. You do need to do a little bit of prep work on your PC. In this case, this is actually a 1 terabyte Crucial P5, but I will take that out while I'm chatting here. Pretty straightforward. It doesn't really matter what speed this is in terms of throughput. This I think is actually a 10 gigabit, so it allows for about 1,000 megabytes per second, roughly one gigabit, whatever you want to call it, and it will take any NVMe M.2. Note though that it's not really meant for M.2 SATA drives, just NVMe. So, first thing you need. Second thing, this little device here is what actually does the magic. Now this one's still boxed. I'll take that out in a second. Here's one that is assembled. It's an aluminum housing, and I'll see if that will focus so you can see what it's called. It's not wanting to focus. Their Xbox Matrix SSD adapter. These can be found on eBay. I don't know, possibly other sites, maybe Amazon. I didn't really look, but the housing itself is, I think I paid, I have to check my prices, but I believe this was $13 Canadian, roughly $10 US, give or take. I've ordered a few of these, and so far I'm 2 for 2. I haven't tested this one yet, but with any luck, I'll be 3 for 3. I have read that some people have had trouble with them, and thankfully so far I'm not one of them, but apparently there's the odd occasion and where people will get them and they don't actually do what they are supposed to do. They're having trouble with the actual Xbox detecting the drive when it's plugged in. Like I say, I've not had that issue so far with the 2 I've used. We'll see what happens with this one. So let's start with the unboxing, and you'll notice I've left my keyboard and stuff in the shot here, but that's mainly because I'm going to need it potentially, and I'm hoping this will just open up easily. The other ones I got weren't taped like this, but hey, it's okay. So you pop it open. Inside the little bag, they give you the NVMe, the actual adapter piece that you will plug the NVMe drive into, that you're going to source out as well, and then some thermal pads and a couple of screws, and of course a little instruction book, which I'll be honest, I didn't use. So we won't worry about that. So with this, you're probably wondering now what kind of NVMEs will work. Well, it is designed for the same form factor that the Xbox uses, which is the 2230 NVMe, which means it's a 30 millimeter drive. Your more typical ones are like this unit here. This is a 2280, which means it's an 80 millimeter drive. And I really wish that you could find a drive like this that would work, and this is where I've been tweeting at Xbox a couple of different occasions anyway. Please make an adapter like this or similar to it that will convert a 2280 4-channel typical NVMe, like the one I just put on my desk there, to the 2-channel version that is needed for an Xbox. And now that I've mentioned that, and I apologize if this is crinkling like crazy, I might just cut this bit out, but the 2-channel version that's required is an issue. Now, Xbox, for better or worse, when they design their Series X and Series S, split the 4 channels that are available through the Zen 2 CPU in terms of lanes, and went with 2 channels internally and 2 channels for the expansion card. Now that creates a host of problems for using a standard NVMe because they're all 4-channel, except for the select few that you can find out there in the ether. Now, the other piece that you're going to need is the 2-channel drive, and I set that down somewhere, and now I'm going to have to clip this and find it because I don't know where I put it.
2 hours later.
And here it is. There are 2 different drives that you can use. I've used both of them, and I would say just go with the one that you can find that is the least expensive. The first one that I got was a Western Digital, just like the ones you'll find inside a Series X, a 1 terabyte 2230 drive that was a CHSN 530. That's the model. The key part is the CH. The PC version is your standard 4-channel. The CH is a 2-channel drive. This one is a Solid State Storage Technology Corp 1 terabyte drive. And again, it is a 2-channel drive. And that's what lets it work with the Xbox. Because this particular adapter, it doesn't really do anything other than convert this 2-channel drive to the CF Express interface that you need in order to plug in to the expansion slot. So the sad part there is a 4-channel drive will not work. You need to find one that's been farmed out of a broken Xbox, or I actually think there might be, if I'm not crazy, a Surface tablet or something that will also use these 2-channel drives, because I've noticed in some of the advertisement it'll say for Surface laptop or Surface Pro or something like that, if I recall correctly. So that is a possibility that some of them may be coming from that. But so far, I've had no issues with the ones that I've got. Now, the reason for this is, this adapter is, you need to plug this in. And when you first hook the drive up, I don't really know that I need to secure this, but I will anyway. You're going to plug it into your PC and prep it. Now, when I did the research, I was told, or well, read and heard on different YouTube videos that it needed to be formatted with a master boot record, or in the master boot record format, and I'll show you that. My personal experience was, yes, the Western Digital worked fine, formatted that way. This particular drive, the Solid State Technology Corp one, it did not like that. The Xbox didn't recognize it as a drive that I could use for installing games. Now, that said, maybe it was a fluke, I don't know. But switching it to GPT, and when I redid it, it worked fine. Plugged it into the Xbox, it recognized the drive, and a few seconds later I was able to install games on it. So I'm just going to hook this up to my PC.
A few moments later.
Okay, so plug that in, and there we go. Now you'll notice the disk is not, or it's saying that it's offline. And you'll also notice that it is currently configured in such a way that it would be able to work in an Xbox Series X as a replacement drive. I don't know if the 1 terabyte can be dropped into a Series S. That's something I've never tried. I don't have a Series S. In fact, I've not taken apart my Series X either. That'll come the day that I can actually put a 2 terabyte drive in it, then maybe I would consider that. But hopefully Xbox does come out with a 2 terabyte version. I find it exceedingly frustrating that we have a situation whereby there are, like, very cheap, I would say, drives available in an NVMe form factor that you can buy for your PC or whatever other device you want, pretty much. I recently bought a 4 terabyte NVMe, which you can see right here. That drive is, well, was and is a lot less money than, and that is the F drive right there. That thing cost me about $150 less Canadian than what it would have cost for just a 2 terabyte card for the Xbox. So double the storage and significantly less money, and also a faster drive for that matter. The Xbox drives are limited to 2400 megabytes per second. This one will transfer at 3500. So again, I'm a little bit disappointed in the path Microsoft took, and I'll talk more about that later. So for the purposes of this, let's, one thing I will need is well, I don't need PowerShell, but I like to use PowerShell for these tasks. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Here I am in PowerShell. One thing to note, the disk was offline. I have put it online. You'll need to make sure that you put the disk online when you start this process, if it doesn't do it automatically. And it's just a matter of right-clicking in the disk management section of your computer management, or if you go straight into disk management. And that's as simple as right-clicking on the start button on your Windows machine and going to disk management, or going to computer management and then selecting disk management, which is what I did. Click on the disk, and tell it to go online. You'll notice that it's going to suddenly create a whole bunch of drives in your Windows Explorer, but don't worry about that. Then when you launch PowerShell, or you can do this from a command prompt, you just need to make sure that you are running it as an administrator. As you can see, actually maybe you can't see that, it doesn't look like it's showing that part, but you do need to run it as an administrator so that this will work. We are going to then go into DiskPart. In DiskPart, we are going to ask it to list the disks, and that's just to verify that we are seeing disk 6, 867 gigabytes. Now, that's something that you're going to notice, and I don't know, I don't have a regular Seagate version, so it's possible the Seagates have the full 931 gigabytes that you see on this other 1 terabyte drive that I happen to have in my machine. The difference in storage, it's what, roughly 64 gigabytes. I'm not sure why that is. It could be a number of reasons. It could be that they've reserved that for redundancy to increase the longevity of the NVMe. It could be that they have done it for a different reason. Might be for quick resume, hidden storage that quick resume can access. Not really sure, and unless they come out and tell us why that is, I guess we'll never know. Anyway, or it could just be for the system itself, but I don't think that's the case. Typically, with the older Xboxes anyways, there was an actual operating system partition, and you didn't have this discrepancy. The visible disk was the visible disk. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what we're going to do now is, after listing, we know which disk it is. It is disk 6. We are going to select that disk, and we're going to just list the partitions so that we make sure we have the right disk, and we do. We can see the actual partitions do line up with what we saw in disk management, and I know this, you can't see it, but I do have the disk management window there so I can compare, and I know I have the right one. And you want to do that because the next step here, when we actually clean the disk, is going to blow away all the partitions, and if you have data on another drive that you want to actually keep, you do not want to select the wrong drive. So once I hit enter, it will clean that disk. We can now list the partitions again, and there are no partitions to show. With that, I will switch back to the other window so that you can see the disk now has 687 gigabytes of unallocated space. It does not appear to be showing you that now that I look at this, and why is that? I don't know. But anyway, I guess it just doesn't have the window space. So hopefully you're able to see all the other crap because I've now cleaned the disk and it's gone. But I apologize if I screwed that up. I'll have to figure out a different way around that. Not sure what I'll do there, but it is what it is. So here we have our disk 6. It's now not initialized. We are going to initialize it. First thing I'm going to do, because I've heard this so many times, I'm going to initialize it. There's the GPT right there. I'm going to try it again as a master boot record disk, and we'll see what happens. So it may or may not work in the Xbox. If it doesn't, I'll come back and I will change it to GPT and try that. But anyway, we are going to do that, and it is now initialized. We are going to create a new simple volume and click through here. We are going to not mount that drive, and we are going to call it Solid State Technology Corp 1TB external. And quick format is fine, and we will finish that, and we will see that it is now formatted. So the next thing I'm going to do is we are going to put it into the housing. I will switch back to the overhead view, and we will do that now. So here we go. Here's the drive. I can unplug that. It wasn't actually mounted, so I don't need to worry about any issues in that regard. We have our housing. There is a specific way these go in, so I'll probably do it wrong the first time because that's just how I roll. But I'm not going to worry about getting too specific at the moment. Probably debating this as we sit here. I may or may not put the thermal pads on for the first go. I'm not intending to heat this thing up at all initially. Well, maybe. We'll see as I go here. But we stick it back into the adapter. Now again, this goes in a specific way. So you want to set it, I believe, if I remember right, yeah, like this first. And then the cover goes on top, like so. And then you put in, oops, sorry, did it wrong. Of course I would, like I said, do it wrong the first time. It goes in upside down, that's right. I remember now. And then the cover goes on, and you'll see it fits together quite nicely. Now, when you put the thermal pads on, they are thicker, so there's a decent amount of compression that needs to take place. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt anything. It just the one thing it does do though is make sure that you have a good solid actual fit. So I put the thicker pad on the back side because the thinner pad, if I remember right, let's try this here. There's the thick and thin, and I think, yeah, if I look at this, this is doesn't really fit that well, and it kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but it's sort of pushing the actual drive doesn't sit flat. Try and get an angle there. You can kind of see it sticks up above. So with the thinner pad, it does fit better if I recall correctly. Yeah, see now it fits flush. If you look, this part doesn't stick up anymore, and then this pad on this side, and it'll go together. So let's peel. We'll just do this. I wasn't really going to, but hey, why not? Makes it a bit more painful if I do have to take it apart again to change the drive initialization to GPT, but hey, that's okay. It is what it is. I'm not too worried about it. So we try and position this as nicely as we can. Rub it on. It's not too critical that you get it pressed on there too hard. I don't have long enough fingernails for this. I always have trouble getting these things off. There we go. Come on. Part of this is my... Well, I won't get into that. I was going to say my hand issues, but won't worry about that for now. So there we go. It's in place there. Try and leave this stuff where you can see it. I hope this is focused good enough. It looks a little bit blurry, but that could just be me. And then I will peel this one, and we will stick it here on the back side. And there it goes. And then we will peel the other sticker off, and of course it's being a pain. There we go. And then we will put the cover on like so. And now you'll notice there's two different length screws, perhaps. I don't know if you can see that. There's one there, one there. There's fairly significant difference. The long one goes in the back side, of course, where self-explanatory, it's a much deeper hole. And then the other short one goes at the front. And there you have it, Bob's your uncle. Now, the one thing I didn't do is move my Xbox to where it can be seen, so I am going to do that now. And so begins a bit of a voiceover section. The audio here was a bit messed up, so I decided I'd just re-record it, as well as just trim some boring sections out of the video. Here you can see I'm just demonstrating that it is indeed the same drive. You can see based on the name that it was formatted with. So I'm going through setting it up, and it did work first try, which is great. So the master boot record did work, and that's what we're seeing here. Ripping through, just setting up 4 game drives so we can install games on it. And then I was, me and my ADHD brain, I get sidetracked and I start going through other things. But nonetheless, now I'm just finding a game here to actually install. It was unbelievable to me when I watched the playback how much time I spent actually doing this and clicking around. So it's sped up quite dramatically, and eventually here I'll settle in on a couple games. I'm going to install the Quake optimized for Series X and X game, and I'm going to set up you'll see me set up Redfall as well for a pre-install. So this is fairly old video. I'm finally getting around to finishing up. So here we go. Might as well update the other games there while I'm at it, and you can see Quake actually installing. Won't be long here, and it will be ready to play. Actually, it was a bit weird when it did complete. It sat at like 99% or whatever on this finishing up thing for quite a while. Eventually, I get kind of annoyed, and I just end up launching the game, and it works perfectly fine. I don't know why it took so long to finish up there, but here we go. Should be launching that right about now, and you'll see it start heading into the game. Again, it takes a little bit for it to load, and I tried this on the internal drive too, and it did the same thing. So I'm guessing it's probably something to do with just maybe pre-caching some of the graphics or shaders. I don't know. Could be. But anyway, eventually here the game does launch, and I'll run around for a few seconds. In a minute here, there we go. And I'll run around, and you'll see me just kill a few guys, a few of the bad guys, and then I'll quickly jump out, at which point I'm going to just go and again show that, hey, we were just playing this game, and we're going to manage the installation. Where is it installed? It's on that new external drive that we just created ourselves. So overall, Long and the short of it story, is, I would say,
overall,
so ends
I saved
probably close to $100 US, depending. Now I know the 1 terabyte drives do go on sale occasionally. I don't know what they really cost in the States when they're on sale. I don't really look because I'm in Canada, but on the Canadian end, they're typically $300 Canadian. If they go on sale, there's maybe $20 off. I paid $109 US for the 1 terabyte drive, and roughly $10 US for a total of around $120 US for this device, which works out to roughly $100 US savings, which in Canadian funds you're looking at around 130-ish, give or take a bit. Shipping was free on the adapter, and shipping was, I think, an additional $10 US, if I remember right, for the drive. So, give or take, you're looking at around $100 savings. You do lose a little bit of storage, I think. Like I say, I don't own one of the Seagate drives. I refuse to pay $300 for a 1 terabyte drive. I think that's completely ridiculous in Canada, considering I can actually buy a 1 terabyte NVMe, a typical 2280 Gen 4 drive for under $100 Canadian. So Xbox, you need to get your act together. These prices are stupid. The 2 terabyte drive is $499 Canadian. The whole bloody console is $599. So you're telling me that for $100 extra you can put a Series X together in its entirety, including that $300 1 terabyte drive. So for $300, you're building the rest of the console, and yet you need $500 for a 2 terabyte drive. And I do get it. It's a small form factor. That's part of the problem. Going back to what I was talking about originally, if I go back to the overhead here, there we go. This is one of the other drives I have, by the way. This is what my thought is. If Microsoft was to build an adapter similar to this with this piece, but then have it turn and maybe go straight up or fold off to the side, so it would come out of the Xbox and do a turn or a turn upwards so that it runs up the back of the Xbox. You could have a housing that would fit your full drive, like so. That's about the length you'd need. And then on the adapter internally, on the CF Express adapter, they could have whatever chipset is necessary to convert from a 4-channel to a 2-channel drive. And then, maybe if they feel the need, they could have some sort of a speed test application or whatever. It does a pre-test before it formats it, whatever they feel they need to do to certify the drive. But as it sits right now, the fact that you can't do that is insane to me. Charge $30, charge whatever you need to for the adapter. I think it's exceedingly frustrating that I can buy a drive like this for $100 Canadian. This is a Crucial P5, and yet for some reason that Seagate thing is sitting there at 300. It's just ridiculous. Microsoft, do something about it. Xbox, Phil, the only choice is to go out and do something like this. Now, yes, you need to be a little bit tech savvy. It's not really that hard, to be perfectly honest. It's easy enough to do. I've done it 3 times here. They've all worked perfectly. I've not had any issues, and I can't see for the life of me why a corporation like Microsoft can't build an adapter that just takes a normal drive. I would love to be able to just throw a 2 terabyte on the back of my Xbox, or a 4 terabyte or whatever. I guess that's my spiel. Microsoft, build an adapter. It shouldn't be that hard. Probably cost you pennies to produce. I mean, these little chips cost next to nothing. I can't see this being a big stumbling block for you. Build the adapter, change whatever you need to in the console, send out a firmware update that just makes the bloody things work. It's about time. The fact is, 2 years in, there is absolutely zero reason in the world, given that NAND has never been cheaper, that we should be paying these kind of stupid prices for expansion storage, or having to jump through hoops in order to get something that's a little bit more reasonable. That's it. If you like this video, if you found it useful, please drop a like. Greatly appreciated. I mean, just trying to start out here a little bit, messing around. I've got a couple other little short videos I'll do that I have in mind. But appreciate it if you've made it this far, if you've watched the whole thing. Like I say, if it's helped you at all, yeah, drop a like, leave a comment. If you see things I can do better, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things I can do better. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, because that seems to be the thing that YouTubers all say these days. So thanks again, and I'm Mental 9R for Caffeine Entertainment. It's time to wake up.